Well, welcome to 755 Live, about 5 minutes of what Jesus said. You can check out a different command of Jesus every weekday at our 260 Bible plan. Just go to bible.today.church. Today's Jesus said is from John 4:35, and the soundbite version of this is, "Wake up, the harvest is ready." Jesus said, "Wake up. The harvest is ready." Reading from John 4:35, Jesus said, "You know the saying, 4 months between planting and harvest, but I say, wake up and look around. The fields are already ripe for harvest." It's interesting that this statement comes right in the middle of the account of Jesus going out of his way to encounter a Samaritan woman at the well and revealing himself as the Messiah. And right before Jesus got into what he said here, he had finished the conversation with the woman at the well, and she realized that this could be the Messiah, and so she went and told the village about it. And the disciples weren't really concerned about that. They urged Jesus, they said, "Rabbi, eat something." And Jesus replied, he said, I have food to eat that you don't know about, you know not of. And they said, "Well, did somebody else bring him food?" And that's where Jesus began to say that his nourishment came from doing what the Father had sent him to do, from finishing his work. And that's where he says, "I say, wake up and look around. The fields are already ripe for harvest." Jesus was doing what the Father had planned and instructed for him to do, which was to reach the lost. The disciples were caught up not in the miracle that had just happened with the Samaritan woman and how she was reaching out to an entire community, but they were looking at the physical needs and saying, "Jesus, you haven't eaten anything." I know some of you are participating in the 40 days of prayer and fasting in one way or another, so you can kind of relate to that, not having something to eat. But Jesus said, I have food that you don't know about. Wake up. The fields are ripe unto harvest. After this, we're told that many of the people in that village believed on Jesus because of that encounter, that Jesus had gone out of his way to reach someone who was an outcast and who had not been reached with the good news that he was the Messiah. If I had a nickel for every time that I've seen somebody post "wake up" on social media, pointing out all of the bad things that are happening in the world or in our government, I would have a lot of nickels, because there have been a lot of calls to wake up. But Jesus told us to wake up and look to the harvest. When he saw people, when he looked at Jerusalem and saw the people there that were lost, that were burdened down like sheep without a shepherd, he had compassion on them. And he said, pray that God will send forth laborers into his harvest. We get caught up in our physical needs. We get caught up in the needs of our society. And those things are important. But Jesus said, wake up. Look to the harvest fields. Look for those that are hurting and broken. That's where our nourishment is. That's where we find the good news of Jesus. And we find that we are plugged in to obeying his commands and fulfilling the work that God has called us to do. We need to get our eyes off of the physical and wake up to the spiritual harvest. Jesus said, look around, wake up. There are people all around who need to hear good news. So let's spread some light today. Let's realize that we need to be aware of those who need Jesus. Jesus said, wake up. The harvest is ready. What can we do about the harvest? How can we share the good news of Jesus today?